Hello, and welcome to this presentation by the Hellenic American Union's Centre for Examinations and Certifications, focusing on preparing for the speaking test of the B2 level Michigan Language Assessment examination for the Certificate of Competency in English. The ECCE is administered by the Hellenic American Union and is developed by Michigan Language Assessment, which is a collaboration between the University of Michigan and Cambridge Assessment English. The ECCE Speaking Test is a structured interaction between one test taker and one examiner, which lasts between 10 and 15 minutes and has 4 parts or stages. Here are the 4 stages of the ECCE Speaking Test. In stage 1, the candidate is asked to answer some personal questions. This part is not assessed and serves as a warm-up and icebreaker. In stage 2, the candidate asks the examiner questions to gather information about a problem the examiner has. In stage 3, the candidate chooses between 2 options to solve the examiner's problem based on the information gathered in stage 2. And in stage 4, the candidate answers questions based on the topic discussed in stages 2 and 3. Now, which are the skills elicited by the ECCE Speaking Test? For this test, candidates should be able to ask and answer questions, provide suggestions or recommendations, present and support a decision, and discuss a topic in detail. Now, let's have a look at the assessment criteria. Overall communicative effectiveness assesses the candidate's ability to convey information, express ideas, sustain talk, and contribute to the topic development. Language control and resources assesses the quality of grammar and vocabulary used. And delivery and intelligibility does not assess the accent, but rather the rate of speech as well as intonation. So, when it comes to overall communicative effectiveness, the test taker should be able to express ideas including details and complexities, sustain talk without interlocutor support, elaborate spontaneously, and be an interactive participant. Now, regarding linguistic resources, the test taker should be able to use sufficient linguistic resources to convey ideas, show functional control of grammar, combine linguistic resources with cohesive devices to function as an interactive and independent participant. And when it comes to delivery and intelligibility, the test taker should be able to speak at a reasonable rate with infrequent pauses, use voice and intonation to contribute to intended meaning, communicate without misunderstandings despite evident features of their native language. That is L1. Now, let's have a look at all 4 stages in more detail. In stage 1, the candidate is asked some personal questions about their interests, hobbies, free time, future plans, etc. Please note that this stage is not assessed and serves as a warm-up. There is no need for the candidate to worry too much about this stage or to recite a whole paragraph they have learnt off by heart. The candidate is encouraged to take part in a simple conversation and to interact with the examiner as naturally as possible. The examiner then asks a transition question related to the topic that is going to be discussed in stage 2. So, to sum up, the objectives of stage 1 are to make the test takers feel comfortable with the exam, to engage test takers in a natural conversation, and to introduce the role play of stages 2 and 3. Here are some examples of questions that a candidate may be asked in stage 1, including a leading question and transition question to stages 2 and 3. Now, let's talk about stage 2. At the beginning of stage 2, the examiner gives the candidate a prompt which contains a description of the procedure, 3 questions for the candidate to ask, and 2 options to choose from. First, the examiner reads the procedure, except the 3 questions. Then, the candidate asks the 3 questions one after the other. They can ask the questions as they are and do not need to paraphrase them. And the examiner answers the questions and gives all the information the candidate needs. Please note that the candidate cannot see the answers given by the examiner. So, what are the objectives of stage 2 of the ECCE Speaking Test? It is to allow the test taker to gather information from the examiner on a particular situation, to highlight the test taker's listening skills, and to provide the basis of support of a choice to be made in stage 3. Here is a sample prompt given to the candidate. And here is a sample speaking examiner's information sheet. Please note that the examiner will read out the information as it is printed in their booklet. But should the candidate need the examiner to repeat or clarify the information, all they have to do is ask, just like anyone would do in normal conversation. Now let's take a look at stage 3 of the ECCE Speaking Test. In this part of the test, the candidate chooses between the options available, justifies their choice based on the information given by the examiner in stage 2, but can also give other reasons, and explains why they rejected the other option. Please note that the ECCE is not a background knowledge test, but an English language test, and that candidates are given all the information they need in stage 2 to formulate a full answer. Now, let's have a look at a summary of the objectives of stage 3. First, the test taker is required to present and support a choice and explain why he or she rejected the other option. Then, examiner information should be used for choice justification, and the focus is on the sound support and not the nature of the choice. Now, let's take a look at stage 4, which is the last stage of the ECCE Speaking Test. The examiner asks the elaboration questions as printed in their test booklet. But again, candidates can ask the examiner to repeat or clarify. Candidates are expected to answer the questions by elaborating and giving examples to support their response. Remember, what counts is their ability to answer and the overall quality of the language used, not just the response per se. These are the objectives of stage 4. The test taker is required to respond to 3 set questions on the same topic. The test taker needs to produce well-structured responses with supporting details. Focus is placed more on the volume of language produced rather than occasional errors made. And here are sample questions for stage 4. Please note that the third question is usually a longer question. And here are some tips for candidates. Use as much natural language as possible. Ask for clarification if anything is not understood. Maintain eye contact with the examiner. And participate as actively as possible. Think, why is what I said true? And explain. Also, use examiner information to justify your choice and add your own ideas. Say why you did not choose the other option. If a certain word does not come to mind, paraphrase or use a synonym. Don't just give dry answers. Use examples and try to personalize the topic of discussion. And relax. It's easy, really. Now, for further practice and preparation, you may want to use our practice test books. And if you have any questions, you can always visit our website at hau.gr or contact us at exams@hau.gr. Thank you for watching, and remember to sign up for our upcoming live webinars for more information and tips on the exams administered by the Hellenic American Union. Thank you, and goodbye.